For our college project, we were required to create a documentary. I had a good think about it, and I decided to do mine on LSAs in the classroom. The reason I chose to do this is because I had LSA support at school, and I feel that I might have some knowledge and experiences that I could share with people. I don't just want to make this interesting for people in the education system. I'd like to make it interesting for all types of people. Maybe a parent who's considering getting their child support. When it came to making this documentary, confidentiality was a big issue. I wasn't allowed to film children and in the classroom. So I had to figure out a way of getting around that, and I decided just to observe classrooms and report back what I found. I hope you enjoy the documentary. I've come to my old secondary school to follow a day in the life of an LSA. I've had LSA support when I was at school, and I'm going to see if it's changed and how it helps people. And I just want to, get an LSA's perspective on things, really. I'm now off to film, go meet one of my old LSAs to help do my science lessons, and I'm hoping to get an interview with her. Just be careful, there's no students about. Oh, Miss Walbert.
Hello. How are you?
Yeah.
I haven't seen you for ages. Oh, sorry. So what are you doing these days?
I'm at college and do a documentary about teaching assistants.
All right.
So I need to interview some teaching assistants and find out what's changed, if anything.
I think it's still very much so. We've got a new Senko here now. Let me see. So she's changed things a little bit, but basically we're the same. School days changed, so that changed a little bit for some of the teaching assistants because it's sometimes hard to fit in how they're with pupils. But I do so. I actually help out in French lessons now, which I didn't do before, and I actually did a drama lesson, which I'm not so much in science.
So Mrs. Payne, what are you doing to prepare?
Okay, I've got a student currently going into Year 9 next year, and he's been in a colour group where he hasn't learned any languages before. So he'll be moving into a colour group where he will be studying German, and we need to get him caught up because the students that he'll be in with have been studying German for 2 years, and we need to get him caught up on the basics so that we can prepare him ready for his GCSEs come Year 10, should he choose to take German as an option. So I've just got some resources together on the basic German vocab. Get a little folder together for him, put together for him, and he'll work intensively with me one-to-one during those lessons so that we can get him caught up and get him included in the rest of the class so that they're working at the same pace.
What I needed support for was, especially I had really bad anxiety trouble, and I'd need an LSA next to me to make me feel more secure in classrooms. Especially when I found I was in an environment with a load of other students, it made me get more anxious. So like in assemblies I'd be really anxious. An LSA would probably take me outside for a breather or something. And there were times when I found it hard to focus myself. I got distracted a lot and probably misbehaved a bit, to be honest.
Right, we didn't have too many problems, did we? Mostly your problems, Dan, were focusing on things. You're a bit distracted with your football and comedy, but when you did focus, you worked well in groups, and it was fine. So I very much enjoyed working with you.
I'm read today, and we're doing about sequences.
Yep.
So it's pretty straightforward. They know what they're doing. They've done it all before. So hopefully
I'll be able to witness.
it should be a good lesson. Yeah, there we go. Oh, there's Miss there, look. Now, Dan, go through.
Hello.
All right, welcome. Nice to meet you. We've got a maths class today. Would you like to come in?
I was in a particularly Larry maths class. There was a group of about 10 students. Nearly all of them all badly behaved. And there were times where they would just argue back with the teacher. As far as the LSA was concerned, the LSA just let them get on with it and let the teacher deal with the problem. And the LSA just went to sit down with a quiet student and help them with their learning support. What did you make of the lesson earlier?
Yeah, they struggled a bit with it. It was quite hard for them. That's why we're there, basically. If it wasn't there for them, then they wouldn't be able to understand what they're doing. We've got to get help. I didn't understand the work totally offhand, so I went and asked Mr. Haynes, and then I could come back and explain it to the kids.
I noticed you don't, it's best not to kind of have a go at the kids if they're shouting or anything or misbehaving.
No, sometimes it just aggravates them and make them worse. Usually that's why I go and sit down next to them, you have a quiet words in their ear, and then they're usually alright. They usually understand that they've gone over the line.
Is it always like that? Or?
Depends really. Yeah, some they have good days like us really. We all have good days and bad days, don't we? But on the whole, they're not a bad class.
Earlier, I caught up with Kerry Evans, a teacher at the school, to find out just about the relationship between an LSA and a teacher. This is what he had to say.
I think LSA is potentially incredibly important if they are used correctly. LSAs, I think, need to know what their role is in the classroom, and they need to be involved in the planning of the class. If they're not, then it ends up as just a helper in the class, I suppose, which isn't very effective. But I think when an LSA is used effectively, they're part of the planning procedure, they know the specific learning outcomes of the students, and then they're pretty much like a second teacher in the classroom.
So where are we off to now?
Okay, now we're off to a Year 7 class, and then this is for PA, so this is, my support completely changes here. I have a certain student with lots of physical difficulties, so she can't access all PE lessons, so I have to incorporate some physio into her lessons and some stretches and things. She'll come out for the start of the lesson, listen to the introduction lesson, we'll go off and do some physio, and then depending on what the activity is, what sport they're doing in PA, we'll either have a supporter on the field, we'll take part in that if it's a throwing activity. If it's a sort of a track activity, we'll go in and we'll do some work on the bikes just to help stretch your limbs and things up. So quite a bit different to what I was doing earlier.
I've just come out of a PE lesson where an LSA has helped a child physically. The child had a physical disability and was unable to participate in certain sports. The LSA has been doing some stretches with the student, getting her out on the mat and just doing some genital stretches. When I was at school, I didn't really need an LSA during PE lessons. It just goes to show that LSAs have to work with kids with mentally learning difficulties and physically as well. One thing I've found since I've come back is that the school got a new SENCO, Special Needs Coordinator. So they could potentially change the timetables of LSAs, they could change the limit of LSAs in classrooms, major changes which could potentially affect the students. As a SENCO,
Yes.
what's the sort of problems you can occur from?
Problems? Well, I'd like to think there's not problems, there's issues that need to be tackled, because every child that's got a need, we need to try to support in the best way we can. So if by problems you mean a range of issues that you're going to come across with children, then fine. But my own idea of a problem is not, I think, it isn't a problem, it's my job. So therefore I have to work around any issues that crop up to solve those problems, if you like. But it's a challenging job in as much as it's very diverse. You have lots and lots of different needs, you have lots and lots of different situations. You can be diagnosed with something, but in each person it comes out as being different. So you have to manage that on an individual basis. So that's what's exciting, if you like, about the job. It's a very varied job. Every day is different. You don't know what's going to walk through the door any one day from the next. The downside is there's lots and lots of paperwork that takes hours and hours and hours and hours and hours to write. And you sometimes think, I'd be better off spending this with the pupils than writing.
And our only question then, what do you think a teaching assistant needs?
What do I think they need? Empathy. They need to have a desire to help people. They need to have patience. They need to be able to have a personality that can engage on all sorts of levels. They need to be very organised. They need to be quite tough. They need to have a bit of a thick skin sometimes, because sometimes children aren't very nice to them. I'm going to say the usual one, a sense of humour. But yeah, they have to be very diverse, multitasking type of people.
Talking to the SENCO, I found that there's much more to it than just deciding who's going to be an LSA and where the LSAs will be. You've got to sort out a lot of paperwork, and when picking an LSA, you've really got to think about, you can't just have someone who's got a bit of a, shall we say, boring personality. They've got to be quite bubbly, and as well as being be able to sympathise with students and have patience, like she said, and I think they're just very important things. So that's the end of my trip to the school to find out about LSAs. Basically, I found out that there's much more to it than just sitting down with a kid and helping him out. As far as things have changed since I've been there, not really. I mean, they've got a new Senko, and I didn't get a chance to interview her. You know, from what I've witnessed, nothing much has changed since I've been there. And now at college, the difference between college and school is with college we just have an LSA who help the whole class instead of individual support. There's no individual support. I suppose it's to do with the independence as you get older. And that's you know, that's what I found. And I just believe that LSA support is really important. And it should continue because LSAs can help a child have much better future.